Do you really understand the parable of the talents in the New Testament, in the Bible? To the wicked and slothful servant, the master said, "You should have put your talent, your money, into a bank and with usury at least earned some interest." Well, what is arbitrage? This is where we create a win-win, where somebody is paying interest, willing to pay interest in order to make more interest. It is what makes the world go round. Get ready. I'm going to give you some insights into a deeper understanding of this parable and how it can apply to you and your brighter future. So I'm Doug Andrew. I've been a financial strategist and retirement planning specialist now for nearly 5 decades. I've been helping thousands of people optimize assets, minimize taxes, and empower what I call their authentic wealth. I've been very blessed in my 50 years to have authored thus far 12 best-selling books. And in all of my financial books, I talk about the concept of how money works. And sometimes when I use the term arbitrage, people go, "Ooh, that sounds scary. What is that?" Well, it is really described in the parable of the talents if you dissect it and understand it. This is where oftentimes it may be wise or prudent to pay interest in order to make more interest. And so sometimes people quip. There's 2 kinds of people in the world, those who pay interest and those who earn interest. And I sort of chuckle and smile and I say, no, there's actually a 3rd kind of person, those who learn when it's wise to pay interest in order to make more interest. And that was typified in the parable when the master said, "Thou wicked and slothful servant, you buried your talent, so to speak, your money. You should have at least put it in the bank with usury." Now, what's usury? It's usually charging interest or making interest. So when you put your money in a bank or credit union, are they just a benevolent institution paying you interest? Well, why are they doing that? Because they understand how money works. They are good stewards, so to speak. They are borrowing your money. They're paying you interest. Why? So that they can turn around and loan it out and invest it and make higher interest than they're paying you. Because if they pay you 1, 2, or 3% interest, they turn around and loan it out or invest it at 6, 7, or 8%. If they pay you 3 and they earn 6, they're making twice as much as they're paying you. That's called a 100% rate of return. But it's more than that because they're doing it not even with their own money. They're doing it with your money. So it's called an infinite rate of return. But arbitrage means paying a lower interest rate in order to put the money to work to earn a higher rate of return. And this has actually been going on for centuries. It's what makes the world go round. So I want to explain this by using some slides that I haven't used for quite a while to teach you sort of some marvels of wealth accumulation, because there are 3 miracles or marvels of wealth accumulation. The first one is compound interest, and sometimes financial advisors that I mentor think they understand compound interest until I pass out an 8.5 by 11 sheet of copy paper and I go, "Let's see." And I have them fold the sheet of paper in half, and then I have them fold it in half one more time. And then I tell them, you know what? You can't fold the sheet of paper in half more than about 8 times. But imagine if you could fold this 8.5 by 11 sheet of copy paper in half 48 more times, a total of 50 times. I want you to write down on the sheet of paper how thick you think this sheet of paper would be. And these financial advisors, often CPAs, tax attorneys, who say they understand compound interest, write down 3/8 of an inch, 6 inches. Sometimes those who really do understand compound interest better than others say it'll be at least a mile high, and they get laughed out of the room. And then I go, "Oh, I thought you understood compound interest. What is this sheet of paper doing every time you fold it in half? It's doubling." A sheet of copy paper, 26-pound copy paper, is 5/1000ths of an inch thick. If you folded that sheet of paper over 20 times, it would be 1,048,000 times thicker. What am I talking about? Compound interest. $1 doubling to 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. $1 doubling 20 times will grow to $1,048,000. That's compound interest. Albert Einstein said it's the eighth wonder of the world. Okay. Well, Rothschild said, no, compound interest tax-free is the eighth wonder, because if that dollar doubles and every time it doubles, you pay 25% in tax, which most Americans, they put their money in banks and credit unions and mutual funds, and they pay taxes on the interest and dividends every year on their tax return. The dollar doubles to $2, you pay tax of 25 cents, you only got $1.75. That doubles to $3.50, you pay tax on that. Guess how much you'll have instead of 1,048,000? At the end of 20 doublings, you'll only have $72,000, 7.2% of what you could have had. In a 33% tax bracket, you'll only have $27,000, 2.7%. That's why Rothschild said, no, the eighth wonder of the world is compounding tax-free, because then you'll have $1 million. Did you notice Rothschild did not say tax deferred? Because if you do it in a tax deferred IRA or 401k, that $1 million is not your money. When you pull it out, if you pulled out the entire $1 million, you would pay a third of that back in taxes. You're only netting $650,000. If you're pulling out, $100,000 a year, you're only netting $65,000 after tax to buy gas and groceries. If you use my favorite vehicle, which is a max-funded indexed universal life insurance contract, where I have averaged nearly 10% rates of return ever since 1997, on $1 million, I pull out $100,000. I net $100,000 because it's tax-free. So you want to have tax-free accumulation. But the third marvel or miracle is safe positive leverage. And people go, what's that? It's the ability to own and control assets with very little or none of your money tied up or at risk in that asset. Okay, it's what makes the world go round. So let me explain this because savvy, smart people understand how to leverage, but you want to leverage and maintain full liquidity, because leverage without liquidity is stupidity. This is where people get into trouble and they have their homes foreclosed on, okay? Now, you are going to incur a cost, let's say on a piece of real estate, and let's say it's a rental home, maybe even your own home. And if you pay cash for that, that's okay. But you have your money in there and you're giving up the opportunity to earn a rate of return on that, because the house is going to appreciate, go up in value or down in value, regardless of whether it's a mortgage to the hilt or free and clear. So if you tie up your money in a piece of real estate, you are incurring a cost. It's called an opportunity cost, where you could be putting that to work at a higher rate of return than the net cost to have a mortgage on that property, okay? Now, when people say, well, yeah, but if I were to keep my money separated, if I borrowed it out and kept it separated, I'm going to incur a cost. I have to pay interest. And so I'm employing the money. It's an employment cost, because I often say, well, would you hire an employee and pay that employee $30,000 if that employee made you an extra $90,000? Well, yeah, you're getting a 300% return on employment cost. It's worth paying $30,000 for an employee if that employee makes you an extra $90,000. Well, I borrow money on real estate at 4.5% tax deductible interest. And so it's a net cost of $3,000 or $30,000 for every million. And that million that I borrow and I put into my favorite portfolio of indexed universal life policies, laser funds, I'm earning 9%. I'm making $90,000 and it only cost me $30,000. I'm making 3 times or 300% more than the cost of the funds. Does that really make a difference? I just used the first year. If you keep doing that, you're going to be earning 9% compound interest on a bigger balance every year than you're paying simple interest on. Does that make a difference? Yes, this is how you can become your own banker. But you're going to incur one of these costs or another. But if this one is deductible and this one's not deductible, which one would you rather incur? I'd rather incur deductible employment cost, okay? So this is why for years I would help a lot of people develop equity and get out of debt the smartest way, but it's not any way, shape, or form sending extra principal payments to the mortgage company. If you accumulate the money that you would be tempted to send against your mortgage into a compounding account tax-free, you'll actually pay off your mortgage 2.5 years faster if you want. But if you keep it separated, you'll end up with far more money, about $1 million more at the end of 30 years than paying off your house by physically taking the money that's earning 3 times more than it cost you and paying off the property, okay? And I can prove that mathematically. So this is the good way to go. Equity management is keeping, like I do, I keep all of my money liquid and safe because I learned the hard way that money in my real estate is not liquid, safe, nor does it earn a rate of return, okay? Whereas in my universal life policies, it is liquid, safe, earning a predictable rate of return, averaging at least 3 times more than the net cost of the funds. So that's why I've always managed my real estate by keeping that equity separated, and I've never paid a down payment. I've satisfied down payments, but I've never paid a down payment for any piece of real estate that I've acquired because I keep it separated, earning a rate of return at least 3 times greater than the net cost of borrowing the money, okay? So this is better. Best is equity conversion, and this is where I'm 70 years old. And so I have always had my house mortgaged to the hilt. And when I qualified, I took out a reverse mortgage because it doesn't matter, because the money is separated from the property. And now I don't have to even make a mortgage payment because my house will continue to appreciate and my cash will continue to grow faster than the reverse mortgage, because houses were made to house families, not to store cash. And my children don't care. They'd rather have the cash. And if they want, when I die, they can sell the property if it's worth more than what is owed on the reverse mortgage. But I already have the equity separated because it's always been separated. Is this making sense? So that's why I think it's the best way to go. So I have taught for years that managing things like your real estate equity is the key to enhancing your net worth. And if you separate your real estate equity and you keep it separated like I have, this is an amortized loan, or you can do interest-only loans, which I've done many times. But you're paying simple interest, tax-deductible on a declining balance, and you're earning compound interest, tax-free. So you're earning more and more every year at 9% on a bigger balance. As this is growing, then you're paying interest on. What's the math? Well, if you had separated $100,000 of equity that you would have been tempted to pay in a big down payment or whatever, and you borrowed on that real estate at 9%, and you were only earning 7.5%, most people would say, you're not getting anywhere. You're going backwards. No, if 9% interest you're paying is tax deductible, it's only a net cost of 6% in a 33% bracket. You are making a spread of 1.5%, borrowing at 9 and only earning 7.5 compound interest. And pretty soon you're earning 7.5 compound interest on a bigger sum of money than you're paying a net cost of 6 on. So in the very first year, you're coming out $1,500, but you keep that going. And at the end of 30 years, you made an extra $750,000 by paying 9% tax deductible interest while only earning 7.5% compound interest. Hello? Well, what if you kept $150,000 of equity separated and you borrowed at 7.5 and you only earned 6? Same thing. You'll end up in 30 years with $761,000 that you otherwise wouldn't have if you didn't do this. Well, what have I been doing? I can borrow at 6.5% and earn 8.5%, and people say, you'll do all that for 2%? Yep. I borrow at 6.5% and I earn 8.5%. Is it really 2%? Not if 6.5% is tax deductible Over a 30-year period on 100,000 of equity, we're talking $1 million. Well, what if you did that with 200,000? It's 2 million. What if you did that with 400,000? Okay, it's 4 million. What if you did that with $1 million? It's an extra 10 million bucks. Math doesn't lie. So this is really how money works. This is arbitrage. This is putting your money to work and learning how to become your own banker. I call it a laser bank because I put my money over here compounding tax-free using a laser fund. Want to know more about what a laser fund can do for you? I want to gift you a copy of this 300-page book, which is actually 2 books in one. This side is about 200 pages, 14 chapters with all the charts and graphs if you're a left brain learner. If you're a right brain learner, you flip it over to this side. This is 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 actual client stories of how people have used the laser fund for all kinds of financial goals. If you want to use both your left brain and your right brain, you can read both of these. But these retail on Amazon for $20. I will gift you a copy free. To claim your free copy, simply go to laserfund.com or click on the link below. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling, have some skin in the game. I will cover the rest of that cost, and I will pay for the book. I'll fire out a hard copy to you, priority mail. And there's also options when you're in there. If you'd like to listen and learn or watch and learn, you can check out some of the educational webinars that we teach on a regular basis. You can even schedule an appointment with an IUL specialist at no charge, no obligation to see how these strategies can apply in your particular set of circumstances. But this is about you and your brighter future. I want you to learn how money works and what makes the world go round so you can capitalize on this and learn how to become your own family bank.